All right. In this video, we're going to be talking about why Kokichi Muta might actually be as good, if not better than Hollow Purple Gojo. Now, before we get into this, I'd like to make a disclaimer. It doesn't matter which one's better. The content in this game cannot keep up with either of them. Okay, I want to make sure that's loud and clear. I have someone in the JP Discord. I've been talking a lot in the JP Discord, having a lot of discussion. Sorry, fan Discord JP chat, right? Having a lot of discussion. Someone max duped their Muta and is trying to beat all of Tower with Muta. Very, very interesting. Now, I would definitely argue personally that Muta, Absolute Mode, Mechamaru, Ultimate Mechamaru, Kokichi Muta, this guy right here, is better than Hollow Purple Gojo. Now, we're gonna get into all the topics comparing the two, but at the end of the day, both of these units are clearing tower as good because none of them could even like kind of stand up to most of their damage. Okay, just want to make sure that's entirely understood. We're gonna talk about the points for Hollow Purple, the points for Muta. This unit is way better than everyone initially thought. It's absolutely insane, and a lot of it has to lie with his skill 3 and the fact he doesn't leave. Imagine a unit doing almost as much as Hollow Purple on his ult, but his skill 3 is comparable to Sukuna's and he doesn't leave the battle. And he has no buffs to kind of buff himself with, right? So both of these units, Muta and Hollow Purple, have their positives and their negatives, so we're going to talk about it. So now one of the main things is that with the hidden potential buff, you'll see here my Muta, his HP is closing in on like 35,000 because they don't show the amount of HP, but he's like, I could get him up to 40k, right? So with higher dupes obviously, but you know, so because of that, these units aren't dying as much to where attack immunity almost becomes a bit more irrelevant unless we're considering debuffs obviously, but because of the fact that and stuns, but you know, Muta he's not going to be dying. Let's say that he will not be dying in a lot of the cases. So why is Mechamaru so good? So I'm going to refer to him as Muta Mechamaru, doesn't matter. Well, first of all, he can be used with Domain Gojo, which allows you to kind of get two very strong ultimates. What I mean by that is, let's say in the new mode, what you could do is for the first time around, you use everything with Domain Gojo, and then you reset the setup when Domain Gojo leaves with Degumi, which lets you get two of these banger-ass ultimates, right? That's something to consider, that you can get two of the 300% boost debuffs, right? And even with Degumi, it's going to be better because Degumi gives 345 total. It's just that Domain Gojo is a lot easier and helps you because the damage lowers, but you know, being able to be used with Domain Gojo is always a plus. Now, Muta's ultimate is actually the same ult damage as Hollow Purple. Hollow Purple's is 2000%, and Muta gets 100% extra, which makes it to where this ultimate is 2000%. That's how I've been like told that it works. So essentially this ult is 2000. Now the biggest difference is the crit. Okay, that's the biggest thing. If you're not critting, their damage is extremely comparable, right? If you are critting, Hollow Purple just far and away just like clears in damage. Okay, and this is something we could actually show, right? So on average, this is not like guaranteed because, for example, Muta actually did more than this without crit, but without crit, Muta's doing about 6 million less. With crit though, it's night and day. It's like double the amount, right? So you have to consider that. But of course, you're not always going to be critting, but at the same time, 60% crit rate is quite high. Okay, it's definitely quite high to where it's like you could definitely consider it. And then if you do Black Flash, which it's going to be difficult, but for example, this has a 30% chance, right? Then you increase your crit rate further, which means you're almost guaranteed to get that crit, right? So it's definitely pretty good. The main thing, right, is that we're saying that without crit, there's a unit doing almost as much as Hollow Purple, except Muta doesn't leave the battlefield when he ults, right? So there's a lot of ways you could play around it that I found. Either you ult right away just to lower the ult gauge, and that works very well because usually you will actually be running Momo to give extra break damage and lower the ult gauge. Or you could just play it out and then ult twice, two big ults while having the skill 3 available, right? So in terms of ult damage, Hollow Purple does clear in most of the cases, especially with the crit, right? Even if we factor in the crit, thank you, by the way, Demi and the fan Discord for setting this up. But these are the two we're talking about. It's cool to see green Megumi almost doing as much and green Nobara doing very high numbers too. But if we check here, like, also, is it really... Damn, bro, that's go Nobara. But if we see just it's crazy, like 28 million on average is very good for the reason that his skill 3 does 800%, bro. His skill 3 is at 800% damage, and it's half of it's AoE too, right? So 440 of it is AoE, and then we have 360% of it being single target. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, basically, right, you get 100% bonus. So it's like 400%. Well, that's 800 now. Okay, so that is just so crazy to me how much it's actually doing, right? And usually what's so good about this guy is that you're barely using cursed energy. You start off at 30. You're going to stack this 3 times. You're going to use the skill 2, then you're going to skill 3 ult, or you could go skill 1, skill 2 into the skill 3 and then ult, right? So you're going to get pretty high CE and be able to use this when you need to, which is absolutely wonderful. 800% skill 3, are you kidding? That's almost as high as Blue Gojo's, right? Crazy stuff, absolutely crazy stuff. Really like it. And the best thing is that you don't really have to build up, right? But one of the things that I find negative about Hollow Purple is he increases the enemy's damage. Sure, it's 10%, but it's still something to consider. But he does debuff, which does help the other allies to actually get some extra damage, and if they need to, which is nice. He only can stack this once, essentially, which is enough. But the reason why they're even comparably close is because this you can only stack once, right? And then you consider it, right? 2,000. Well, Muta is also getting an extra 90% here. With Momo, he gets 90% damage increase. So they're pretty much comparable, right? This is 70 plus a 30, right? But then, oh wait, by the way, if you use the skill 3 and break, you get an extra 30%. So they are extremely comparable in terms of the damage. The things that really put Hollow Purple up is the stats, right? So the stats are way higher. They're about 30% higher, right? And besides that, it's the crit damage. Those are the two things, stats and crit damage. Because if they had the same stats, Muta would actually be doing more alongside having the same crit damage, right? So that's something we have to consider. So once again, like I'm saying, Muta does not nuke as high. Hollow Purple is still taking the cake, probably being able to do very high, and we could actually show that. So one of the things to show that this is not perfectly accurate, like I said, right, like I made sure to say, is that listen, Muta did a 30 million no crit, which would have been a 45 million crit. Insane, right? Insane. Wait. Yeah, because your crit damage is 1.5. So it should be, yeah, it should be 45 million. And then we could check here, Hollow, well, we have another clip. This is another run, right? So like a more comparable one, maybe. We could see 18 million, right? So like he got it a lot higher. Obviously, with some other recollection bits, for sure. Got to keep that in mind. Then we can see here, Hollow Purple, with this was also a damage increase. Got to keep that. But I think the only thing extra was this, right? But we see Hollow Purple hit 33 million. So it's like he's still doing a bit more. But with the crit, obviously, Hollow Purple is easily clenching that, right? So it is crazy. It is crazy to think about how much Hollow Purple can do. But then once again, Muta's got 2 good ults in him minimum, right? But then the crazier part is if you use the skill 3 first, this could easily deal, like, I'm not even kidding, like, it could deal 5 million, 6, 7. I mean, I feel like you could get upwards close to 10 million. I find it crazy. It really is really good damage that you consider alongside it. And then obviously it lets your ult be stronger. So Muta's got 2 really good rotos in where Hollow Purple only has 1. So like you could essentially get this damage twice if you like, well, I would like to be more realistic and say maybe closer to this. So like probably like 20-ish million, but then you add like 5 million-ish from the skill 3. So like you could get an easy 40, 50 million from that while being alive longer, right? So, you know, there's positives to both, but At the bare minimum, if you want to say Hollow Purple is better, which I could definitely see the argument for that. I'm not disproving that at all, right? So if you want to say Hollow Purple is better, right, you're still going to put them on the same tier, which the wiki tier list actually does have. You could definitely argue for Muta a lot higher. I would personally say, but yeah, no, it's pretty crazy just considering everything. I mean, I would honestly at this point Hollow Purple. Because this is ranked, right? This is ranked. We need a lot. We need a good red DPS, man. We need a new good one. I don't know. There's something with this list that feels a bit wrong. I'm not too sure, but I'll think of that another day. But definitely, Muta is somehow on the same level as Hollow Purple, and I fuck with it hard, right? You could argue either or. I think arguing a Hollow Purple is more than fine. By the way, both of these were max dupes. But at the bare minimum, Muta is just an incredibly good unit. And I am so happy that he ended up being good. I gotta say, it just sucks he was green. Okay, if he was red, or if he was any other color, red, blue, yellow, right? Probably not blue, because we just got the gold himself, right? Sukuna. So if it was yellow or red, I would have, sorry, yeah, yellow or red, I would have liked it way more. It's just not like now we have too many units that are like on the same level. It's like Muta's good, but he's green, right? And look at S plus. Green, 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 and then there's green, green, green. There's too many greens. There's actually too many greens. And I think that green was a horrible option, but at least the unit's good. Only Shibuya unit, but I'm happy that he is someone that we could write home about and say, yeah, he's a goated ass unit. Let me know what you think down below. Do you think Hollow Purple or Muta's better? Obviously, I know a lot of you guys have not experienced him, but I would say for the fact that Muta is not doing only one ult, he's just going to be better on average. And you also have to consider his break damage, right? Break damage is going to help you a lot, allow your supports to live longer. They both lower ult gauge, but of course, for the most part, you are using Muta with Momo, where you're not using Momo with Hollow Purple for max damage, obviously. Because he gets an extra 30% when he's with the Kyoto unit. But his break damage, alongside Momo's break damage, alongside just his ridiculous damage, is definitely going to put him on a similar level to Hollow Purple. So, love to see it. Let me know what you guys think. Muta or Hollow Purple. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great one. Bye-bye.